What's up, Facebook? I'm very excited actually to be sharing this material with you today. For a very long time, when I started my coaching journey, I knew for a very, very long time, as soon as I started my coaching journey, that the role of beliefs, as I know that you know, directly impact agent income. They impact our level of success, our fulfillment. Realistically, our belief system determines the quality of our life, but there's this challenge when we talk about how to actually identify what the limiting beliefs themselves are and how they're influencing your revenue as an agent. Most people, right, we know that our attitude, we know that our mindset is important, but to be honest with you, it's so thrown in our face so often, and that people will tell you to do affirmations, right? People will give you all these different ways of quote unquote doing mindset. And yet very little of it can you directly see. This is how this belief is directly causing me to feel these things that's limiting my income here or there. And so I want to share this framework with you. It's not mine, but I'm extremely excited about it because a couple months ago in my practice, some of you know that I used to work for the Self-Concept Group, where I only focus on beliefs about the self. And after some time, after I left that group, I started to broaden my horizons about the different ways beliefs influence a business owner, different types of beliefs. And so I started working with people, and I started to hit this stride in my practice where all of a sudden I could really hone in on what is the belief that's driving this person's limitation. And once you bring a limiting belief to conscious awareness, then it gets a lot easier to change it, especially when you have the right toolkit. Now, I was reading, because I'm going to a certification. By the way, if you are watching, feel free to say hello. Drop some likes, some comments, some love in the comments. That's very helpful. I'm going to a certification called the ITC, Immunity to Change. And so I'm prepping for the certification, I'm reading, and as it turns out, Harvard Psychology Department has been asking some of the same questions that us as neurolinguistic programmers have been asking for years. And they've developed 4 steps to clearly identify what these limiting beliefs are. Powerful Scott King, what's up, brother? And if you use this framework, you can actually work backwards from whatever your improvement goal is for your business, and then discover what are the key limiting beliefs, the core assumptions that are actually making it so that you're not progressing as fast as you could be. Now, the great part about this is that it works at every stage of your business. So the quality of consciousness you need to be a successful solo agent is different than the quality of consciousness you need to be a successful team leader, is different than the quality of consciousness you need to be able to take your skills and knowledge and transmit them to other people. So at every stage of development in the Harvard literature, what they call this is the stages of mental adult complexity, right? So going from having a self-authoring mind, which is more of kind of I'm setting goals, I'm achieving goals, to a self-transforming mind, which is different. It's the ability, instead of having a belief system that actually holds you, the ability to take off your belief system, look at it instead of through it, and then really decide what is the consciousness that most serves my business at this stage in the game. What's going to lead to more profit, revenue, free time? What's going to make me a better leader for the people that I'm serving? And so we want to use these 4 steps. So whether you're brand new, whether you're a team leader, these 4 steps are absolutely going to be incredibly valuable for you. The first is often where we start in coaching, which is knowing what your improvement goal is. So with the vast majority of agents that I connect with, right, the vast majority of agents, we need to get more consistent in booking appointments. Right? So let's take that as an improvement goal. Let's say I want to set more I want to get more listings this month. And if we take that as the improvement goal, then we can move on to the next step. But let's say you're watching this and you're crushing your listings. Maybe you have a different improvement goal. Maybe you'd like to be more present when you get home from work and leave work behind you. Maybe as a leader, you want to be able to influence your team to get more listings, right? Know what your improvement goal is, get very clear about it. And I also want to invite you to realize the quality of your goal determines the quality of your effectiveness. So oftentimes, people set a very, very limited goal. But the better your improvement goal is, the more achieving it will require you to transform. Okay? Second thing, once we know what your improvement goal is, you're going to make a list. So you're going to say, okay, my improvement goal is this. I want to set more listing appointments. Okay, and you get very clear and very specific about what that goal is. Now you make your doing, not doing list. Now let me tell you what I mean by a doing, not doing list. What is it that you're not doing that you should be doing to set appointments? So make a list. What is everything I'm not doing that I would be doing if I was trying to set these appointments? Okay, so that's your not doing. The doing are all the things you're doing that interfere with setting the listings, right? So let's break it down. If somebody tells me, well, I am procrastinating when I should be on the phones, right? I want to get really, really nitty-gritty with the behavior. So the doing list is when you say you're procrastinating, what is it you're actually doing? Are you scrolling through Instagram? Are you watching this video, which we all know is an awesome use of your time, so keep doing that, right? So what are you doing when you're actually procrastinating, right? Write down specifically the key behaviors that you're doing and not doing that work against your main improvement goal. And again, we have to make sure our main improvement goal is the right goal for our business. That's absolutely essential. By the way, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to workshop this with you live right now. I'm happy to run you through the process. Okay. Now, from your improvement goal, you go to your doing and your not doing. Now, once you have the doing, not doing, we're going to move to step number 3, which is becoming aware of a hidden commitment. Okay, let me tell you what I mean by that. Look at one thing on your list. So if you pick one item from your doing or your not doing, it's likely the case that the thought of doing that activity does not feel good, right? So I was on 2 calls earlier today where we were talking about the feeling associated with that particular prospecting activity. And so one of them was social media. The other one was over phone. And so I was speaking to this person about making calls to build her business. And she goes, well, I get this feeling. And it's very uncomfortable. Right? So what we want to do is we want to start to dive deeper and figure out what is that feeling trying to protect you from. That whatever reason you're not doing the uncomfortable thing, you're avoiding an experience. So here's the key question for you. What is the most icky feeling that I'm avoiding by taking that action? What am I resisting by taking that action? And then you'll get something along the lines of, well, I don't want to annoy the person on the other end of the phone. I don't want to be rejected. That type of thing, right? So you get one of these statements like, if I make my calls, I'm going to annoy that person or I'm going to reject them. So number one, we have an assumption here already. We already have a limiting belief where you've already decided that you're going to annoy the person on the other end of the phone. So we could work at that level of intervention, but as it turns out, there's something much more core than that. That we could, as a way of talking about it, there are surface level beliefs, and then there are core beliefs. And so what we go, once we understand this commitment, where I'm committed to not feeling rejected, I'm committed to not failing, I'm committed to avoiding that feeling, right? Then we start to uncover the assumptions. And now we can go a little bit deeper into what's more core. Now I'll give you an example of where this shows up for people. On my first call today, and you got to see people's faces once the belief shifts. It's amazing to watch. It's incredible to witness. It's why I get so addicted to this job. We started the call, and the activity of building her business was related to what was her belief? Give me a sec. Oh, yeah, so if I do this, then I'm going to get rejected. And believe it or not, she had this unconscious association that had something to do with her self-worth, her value as a person, and how lovable she is. And so there's this core belief that has to do with success and failure being related to her self-worth, and it's an identity statement. So when we can find out what that core belief is, because that belief doesn't just influence her prospecting, doesn't just influence making calls, doesn't just influence making content, that belief shows up everywhere. So once you've identified what that most core belief is, and you start to transform that belief, then the other beliefs start to fall off. Like, it gets easier. So once we had done that, and you could see this kind of like, whoa, this huge weight gets lifted off of her shoulders. Suddenly, I start asking questions about the other surface level beliefs. Well, like, so what if somebody is annoyed? She kind of shrugs her shoulders like, so what? So what if you get rejected on the call? And she goes, yeah, so what? So there's a huge opportunity, right, for you to work your way backwards from what is my improvement goal? What am I doing? What am I not doing? And then when you think about, to wrap it up, right, put a nice little bow on it. When you think about the thing that you're not doing, what is your biggest fear, worry, concern, anxiety around doing that thing? What are you most resisting through that activity? Right? This is what we call a hidden commitment. So I'll tell you a big one for me is failure. I have this thing around failure, like a hidden commitment to not failing. I have a hidden commitment to not failing, which is very different than a commitment to success. Yeah, so Michelle says, I will feel like a salesman, right? And we could even go deeper with that, right? So what if you feel like a salesman? What's the big deal, right? And then we could go find something more core than that. Like, you should be, as professionals, we should be allowed to feel like salesmen, right? I'm going to mind read, but my mind read is that then I'll feel sleazy, or people will think I'm some sleazy blah, 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 salesperson. We have these associations with sales, right? That's my mind read. I don't know how close I am there. But my big one is failure, right? So I have this commitment to not failing, which is, it feels cheap. Yeah, totally. So we want to go even deeper, just to play with it, Michelle, right? If I do this, if I make the calls and then I feel cheap, I'm being a salesperson and it feels cheap, then what does that mean? Right? And so we can find out if there's anything else to it, right? So for me, it's about failure, right? And so I have this commitment of, I don't want to fail. And I'm so committed to that I attach too much energy to it. So that energy can prevent me from trying, because making mistakes, quote unquote failing, right? I have such a strong commitment to not failing. And then I've also decided that failure means that I'm a loser, or this, that, and the other, right? So I've made this decision about what failure means. Now, I gotta tell you, once you know that, and you know how your brain can transform a limiting belief, all of a sudden it gets a lot easier, right? So that now you begin to realize, okay, that belief is not true. And the moment you make that understanding where, okay, that belief is not true, you can never go back to believing the BS again. It's like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny, right? Once you know that something is not real, you always know that. And that creates an upward spiral. That creates a self-fulfilling prophecy in your life. So my invitation to those of you who are watching this is either do the inventory with me here, like Michelle is doing, or reach out to me and I will walk you through the 4 steps. We'll start with your big improvement goal. Number 1, are we working on the right improvement goal? I've met so many business owners who are using certain directions, we'll call it in quotes, as a distraction from actually doing the thing they know they need to do. And so first thing we want to get clear is, are we looking to improve the right thing? The second thing, right? What are we doing? What are we not doing? The third thing, what am I actually committed to? In my case, right? Committed to not failing, which is very different. It's very different to your subconscious mind than succeeding. These are very different things, especially the way I was defining failure. And then I had over-attached the meaning of failure. If I fail, quote unquote, right, what does failure mean? To me, it meant if I tried to set an appointment, or if I got on a call, or this or that, and it didn't go the way I want, that was a failure rather than a learning experience, right? But if I fail at something, I was attaching so much meaning to that I'm a loser, blah, 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 right? You take that belief and you know where to put that so it no longer bothers you. You learn how to put it where the Easter Bunny is inside your mind, right? You realize that that's not true. Suddenly there's freedom that wasn't there. So feel free to workshop this with me here in the comments. Send me a DM if you'd like, or set up a call and I'll work you through your map. It's called an ITC map in the Harvard language and NLP. And one of the reasons I was so excited about this is because I'm doing an NLP for Realtors Mastermind. And one of the things that I get to share with the realtors in the mastermind is how to identify and change limiting beliefs. And so why I'm so excited about this framework is that it gives you a very clear path to be able to figure out what are those core things that we're hanging on to. And then I actually go to the NLP toolkit to shift them, because to me it's a little bit faster to do it that way. All right, that's all for tonight. I hope it's very useful. Drop a comment, let me know how you get on with it, and we will. Oh, hey, I did not see everybody. Lumi says interesting. What's up, Lumi? Tamara says I relate to that. What's up, Tamara? Hi, Denny. Great cross mapping with the Easter Bunny. Yeah, Easter Bunny is a great one. All right, so use it, put it to work, right? Find out what that belief is that's actually showing up for you, and then create some more freedom. I'll tell you, since there's so many NLP people on here, I'll tell you the next step that I use. Once you learn to unbelieve whatever that belief was, now I want to elicit the new response. I want to find out what's the new state that we're attaching to the behavior, as well as the behavior itself. So if the individual needs us to create a behavior for them, or do they just need a new state? And once you know what the response is, then it's just fire and wire. Just elicit the response and attach it to the context where they need it. All right? And repeat it until it's automatic. All right, y'all. I'm out.